welcome back to another episode of Rep and Repeat Podcast. I am your host, Tommaso Abbattiscianni, and this is my lovely best friend, co-host,
Mattice.
Welcome back to another episode, guys. We just want to say, like always, in the beginning of our podcast, we're always going to thank our viewers, thank our subscribers, and if you have not subscribed to the channel yet, please do. Leave a comment on our video, leave a like. You guys know it helps the algorithm, so we definitely appreciate that. And we also love feedback. So any feedback that you guys have to offer, please shoot us a DM, leave a comment, do whatever you got to do. We appreciate you. So let's get started.
So, how you feeling?
Great.
How many weeks out are we now?
7 weeks out.
Yeah.
7 weeks out.
I've been seeing a big difference in your body fat lately.
Yep.
And also mood after we made those changes.
Yeah. Big time, right? Big time. After we spoke about that on the last podcast.
Yeah, so it's kind of good to be able to segue into that because I think making those diet changes changed your whole energy.
Correct. So you want to give them a little bit of detail what we've changed?
Yeah, so last week we spoke about Tommaso coming to the shop telling me, something wasn't right, his energy wasn't there, and I could just see when he was talking to me, things just weren't really sparking.
Weren't registering.
No, so he came with 3 options. We ended up picking option 2, which was carbs throughout the day. I pulled most of his fats, and to be honest with you, it's night and day difference.
Been working out way more. Obviously, I love fats feeling for brain energy, but with the goal that we have in mind right now is I need to train, right? And if we have no glycogen, no glucose coming in, it's going to be hard for me to train 7 weeks out. Obviously, if once we get closer to the show, things are going to drop a little bit. That's understandable. And I should be feeling like shit a little bit closer to the show.
Yeah.
Not this far out. So
no.
I'm happy that we made those adjustments, right?
Yeah, you know what it was too, and let me say this, being your coach, I think what the job you had before doing the EMT job and now the new job of you PTing in the city, it's a lot more movement. And it's, like I said before, you're a big boy, so you moving weights around, doing that. I think doing the higher carbs is more beneficial than doing the higher fats.
100%.
If you were just staying in a chair all day, then I'd say a different story. But, where you're at now, you're moving 24/7.
Literally 24/7.
So it's kind of impressive to see how much you've actually changed just within the week and a half.
Yeah. And then I did my in-body again this week compared to last week, and we're down 1% body fat.
Damn, that's 1% every week.
Every week so far.
Very nice.
And my visceral fat dropped from a 3 to a 1.
My favorite part is too is your weight's still sitting at that 203 range. What were you this morning?
202 point whatever.
Oh, beautiful.
202.6.
So realistically, we've been building muscle in this prep, which is kind of really cool.
I didn't check the muscle growth on this one. I'm gonna pull that up in a minute, and we'll check to see.
That'd be cool.
Because I could check it on my phone. Yeah, maybe I did increase muscle mass too in that past week.
I'm sure you did.
That would be cool to see. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, especially you said your visceral fat was at 3. And now it's at 1?
Yeah, my stomach is a night and day difference in flatness right now. So.
Yeah, the amount of muscle you actually put on is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it seems like prep's going really well for you right now. We haven't made any really big changes.
Nope.
I did lower, so we had 6 ounces of protein this week. I changed it to 5 ounces because protein was sitting about 280 grams. So instead of pulling the carbs, I pulled more of the protein just this week to kind of push them a little more. Cardio's still the same. He's still doing 30 minutes post-workout. You're able to get your cardio in now, right? Since adding those carbs?
Thankfully. I needed to do my cardio. There's one thing about me, I love cardio. And when I couldn't do my cardio, it's very depressing.
Completely.
I just love to just feel that type of cardiovascular, heart pumping, sweating. Because I don't really sweat when I train. Yeah. So I sweat when I do my cardio. Yeah. And I love that feeling.
The only time I really sweat when I train is when I eat a lot.
Yes. When I notice that my refeed days, those days I'll sweat a little bit more during training, and I'm like, okay, it's the glucose and the glycogen being burned now. I have more fuel in me. When I'm super flat and depleted, I don't sweat.
The other day when you posed for me, you weren't even sweating. I had to run you through 4 posing sessions to even get him to put sweat on.
That was probably the least amount of sweat that I had throughout the posing that we've done.
Yeah, because usually you're sweating like a whore in church.
Yeah, literally. So looking at this right now, my skeletal muscle mass actually stayed the same.
Beautiful.
So I didn't gain or lose.
So you kind of just lost pretty much all fat.
Just fat, yeah, which is exactly what we want.
Yeah.
Right?
That's awesome.
And I think that just looking at my body from last prep to this prep, it's a night and day difference in size. And that was the beginning of this year. So I think we packed on probably 5 to 6 pounds of muscle.
I definitely would say that.
Yeah.
I mean, even from your last show, that was in April, we had a little bit of rebound that I was able to get you into a good spot. And then, man, the amount of tissue you put on your legs, and then your back. When you do a back lat, you've always had a nice back double bi, and like I said, it kind of gives me this Phil Heath back. It's a beautiful look. You know, everything looks very popped there, all the details there, and nothing looks messy and meshy.
Yeah, it doesn't look meshed together and stuff like that. So what I did notice was that looking at my percent body fat now, I lost 1.8% body fat in a week.
Wow, great job.
Yeah,
bro.
almost 2% body fat, which is incredible.
It's insane while holding muscle mass.
Yeah, while increasing the food.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show that when you're dieting, guys, it's not always about decreasing food and decreasing calories, right? I believe that there is such thing as calories in versus calories out, but there's also a breaking point too, right? And with that goes into steps that you're taking, supplements that you're taking, activity level, this, that. There's so many variables, hormones, especially for women, right? Like women are very hormonal. Their hormones are way different than men's, and just because if you start draining a woman of her calories, you're going to do more detriment than benefit.
I completely agree. Especially when I train natural females, I want to keep their fats somewhat in a good zone. I mean, listen, we get to that 6-week mark and I got to pull some fats, I'll pull them, but I'm not going to pull fats right off the get because realistically, women are ran on hormones and fats are hormone based. So I'd rather keep fats at a decent high spot and then deplete the carbs.
Right.
You know? But to get that crispness, I've started realizing I got to drop the fats even coming close to a show. But I'd rather do more activity. Like I said to you, and like I say to a lot of my clients, is walk, park further, walk more. You know, I know this is gonna sound stupid, but pick something up and move it across. Move it across your yard, move it across the house.
Just don't be lazy. You know, just try to make as much time throughout your day to do little extra things. Maybe moving your laundry basket from upstairs to downstairs, you know? Those little things matter. You may be tired, but when you're tired, those are the times you got to do those things.
Well, I mean, even a perfect example today, Tommaso came in with 2 bags and then a 24 case of water, and I was like, do you want me to carry the bag? He's like, no, I want to carry all of this. And it's smart. I mean, you know,
I want to burn.
He's burning.
I want to burn.
And I'm sure your biceps were fucking killing you by the time you got to this room.
They were pumped by the time we got upstairs, you know? But yeah.
But prep's going well.
Other than that, prep is going really well. We're 7 weeks out, and I'm really looking forward to just finishing the show up because I got a lot going on.
Yeah.
And I did take on this prep thinking that everything was going to go smoothly, and it actually went the complete opposite way rapidly. So I'm just grateful to be in this position that I'm in now, right? And now I have a clearer head. Now I have more, just the ability to execute better, right? Mentally, because I got over that hump, right? That life hump that I was experiencing.
Yeah.
And what I was telling Tom earlier before the podcast I want to speak to you guys about is I have a lot of personal changes going on in my life right now, and those personal changes are very, very exhausting. They're depressing, they're energy draining, and change is never comfortable. That's what I've realized. Change is not comfortable, and that is something that as a 29-year-old adult male, that I just turned 29, guys. Woohoo!
Hey, you did actually this week.
This week, yeah. So
happy birthday,
now
cocksucker.
that I could say thank you. Now I could say that in my past 29 years of life, I don't think my person has ever experienced this type of growth and change all hammering me at once. So it's been a big mental breakthrough there's been a big mental barrier to break through, and I'm finally breaking through that. And unfortunately, prep was in the mix, but I'm that type of person where once I sign up for something, I'm not stopping. Right? We're fighting through. We're fighting till the fucking end. That's how I am. Tom teaches me to be that way, and I'm grateful for that. Tom pulls my head out of the mud all the time. So there's so many things that you guys don't see behind the scenes. You know, you guys may see my life and it looks regular or just good, whatever. But behind the scenes, there's a lot of self-doubt and a lot of insecurities and a lot of mental stress. And I'm grateful to have a supportive system behind me to push me through these times. And I'm at that point today where I could confidently say that I'm ready for the next chapter of my life. And I'm happy with the way that things are going, and I'm happy being uncomfortable in this change.
Yeah, to touch on that, I actually am going to get your shirt made. You know that little dog, the cartoon dog with the things are on fire, and it's like, everything's fine.
Yes, literally, everything's fine. Never show, I posted this on my story today. Never, what did it say? It said, never let anybody see you bleed, or something like that. Never show, what was it? Let me see. It was, never let them see you bleed.
Yeah.
Okay? You act like you're never hurt. Act like it never hurt.
Yeah.
Okay? And that has, of course, if you're having issues as a man, especially men and depression, it's a big topic of discussion. Talk to somebody.
Reach out.
Talk to somebody that you feel comfortable with. Talk to us. Tom is great at that stuff, especially he's got his Still Here podcast, which talks all about that information and men's mental health and how to be a better man. So give that podcast a follow if you guys get a chance. I'll obviously leave that in the description box again. But yeah.
It's been really, really cool to see the change. And, I think it's like anything else. You didn't expect to go through this kind of hell, but I'm glad you went through this as especially being on prep, because now this shows you that you're made for this.
100%.
It's one of those things where, if you just went through it in normal life, you could always rely on eating shitty food, skipping a training session.
Coping mechanisms, right?
Absolutely.
Coping mechanisms, but we're pushing through here.
But no, man, you definitely, like you said, you have the support system to look you in the face and, keep going. And also be that gauge of, oh, man, this is hard. I know it's hard, or, you're being a pussy.
Yep.
You know what I mean? There's times where I look at you and I'm like, bro, this is tough. There's a reason you should feel this way, and it's okay to feel this way. But then there's other times, and it's very few and far between, where you're just you're complaining. I'm just like, what are you complaining about?
Right.
You're good. Just keep fucking moving. And then you go like this. You're like, thank you, and you move forward.
Yep.
And I appreciate you listening to me and just being able to give me your trust. And as a coach, it plays a big role.
Yep, anytime, man. And like I said, I wouldn't give my trust to anybody, And
Appreciate that.
Neither should our viewers, right? They shouldn't give their trust to anybody. Find people that you could confide in and that you feel safe speaking to.
Completely.
If you have a conversation with somebody and you tell them all your personal information and you walk away from that conversation feeling off, that person is not somebody that you should be giving your information to. It's just a little tip that I use for myself.
It's a great tip. I always say that vibrations are everything.
100%.
Yeah, you'll feel right away. If you walk into a room and you just feel off, there's a reason why.
100%.
And don't give everybody your ammunition.
No, absolutely not. That's one thing that I've learned throughout the years, because I love to be open with people, and that's just my personality. That's my characteristic trait, is to be friendly, to be open. But I've learned that the more open you are with a lot of people, the more it's going to backfire on you. So keep your life private.
I've learned that one.
Yeah, I'm sure we all have. Even our
know.
viewers have, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just something that we need to remember in the back of our mind, especially starting a new field of work for me, in a new environment, I should say. And it's starting over again and just remembering these things, right? And just keeping these things in the back of my mind. And oh man, we are back. We had technical difficulties over here. We got interrupted. What a pain in the ass it's been, right? But we're working through it. So basically where we left off was on the beginning part of our podcast was talking about stuff about prep and how life has been going for myself, for Tom a little bit. But moving forward, we want to talk about the topic of the day, which was PED use in relationships, when to use steroids, if it's viable for you, and that's about it, right? Yeah, that was the topic that we spoke for another 30 minutes about that you guys didn't get to see, and I was about to just throw the camera at the wall. But Tom, like I said before, he kept me calm, and he was like, "Just re-record it, dude." And I was like, "Motherfucker!" No, we just gave out so much good.
It was really
content,
good. But honestly, too, I think we're gonna run through this again. And it's,
yeah,
the second time is always the best.
Yeah, let's see. Let's try and make it better. So, long story short, I had a client reach out to me about he was having issues with his partner that he's been dating for 2.5, 3 months, and she found a bottle of testosterone on his dresser that he left out, and he wasn't going to tell her yet because it's still a new relationship. So he wanted to make sure that everything was perfect between them two before he releases that personal information to her. And she reached out to him like 3 days after she saw it and was confused about it and very disturbed by it. And she basically was drawing the line right then and there, saying that she's going to leave him. And if he didn't stop, because it goes against everything that he talks about with health and fitness. And it was really rough trying to calm him down in that mindset, because he was really going through it. He was concerned because he really likes this girl. He wants to build a relationship with her. He sees her for his future family. So, like, that's a tough decision and situation that he was in. So I had to help guide him through that. And I had to keep him calm because he was bugging out, and I totally get it. I had partners in the past where I had to explain this stuff to, and your partner, I can almost guarantee you, if you haven't told your partner about your PED use, whatever, you should, because you don't want to hide anything from them, right? But the first time that you tell them, they're not going to be understanding. I can
What?
you.
You're telling me they're not going to be happy?
No, they're not going to be like,
oh,
babe, do whatever you want. If you got a girl that doesn't care about you, that's a great sign that a girl doesn't care about you, or a partner doesn't care about you if they don't show any concern. So look at it more as a positive, right? And
what kind of advice did you give him?
So basically, I gave you 3 options. I said, she loves you for you and is going to stick with you throughout this and understand what's going on and understand your logic. Number 2 is that she's going to leave you, and I said, if she leaves you for this without hearing you out and believing your side, she's not the one for you. And number 3 is that she believes you, she understands you, but she's going to have a lot of questions for you. And I can almost guarantee you that first initial conversation is not the last conversation you're going to have about drug use with your partner. Absolutely not. I've had 2 previous partners, and they did not understand it. And all you have to do really is just stay calm, right? Speak to them with respect. You need to speak to your partner with respect and understand them, but also hear them out. Hear their point of view. Don't be so quick to shut down their stigma against PED use, because majority of people that hear about steroids and bodybuilding, they think that it's dangerous and it causes roid rage and all these hormonal issues, which it can if you're that person that shouldn't be using them, right? There's the whole stigma is based off of people that shouldn't have used steroids, really. Yeah. And you're only hearing the side effects. So my advice to him was just stay calm when you're speaking to her, respect her, hear her out, hear what she has to say, give her your insight, and then go from there.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I think, being able to open up to your partner is everything. If you're holding back from telling your partner certain things, maybe it's not the place you should be. Maybe that's not the person you should be with. I think open communication is everything. Previous to when we would record before, like I had said, I don't necessarily think letting somebody into your personal life like that right off the get is the best thing.
Right.
A 3-month relationship is nothing.
Yeah.
That's a drop of water in an ocean.
Literally.
And when you're open up like that, that's kind of like, guys, we're not promoting steroids, we're not promoting any kind of usage,
Absolutely,
but we're also going to be very honest and open. You don't want to give somebody that ammunition and then they run away and then they start telling people other things. So I usually say I'll hold that information back for a little while, within like at least
6 months to a year.
6 months to a year.
If they ask,
yeah.
If they're like, my boyfriend is so jacked he has veins coming out everywhere, like maybe he's taking something because it doesn't look human anymore, then of course be honest, right? Regardless, she's gonna tell you. She's going to ask you, why didn't you tell me this earlier, right? Like as if you're hiding something. But you just don't really want to scare her away. Mm-hmm. That's the reason why you're not telling them right away, is you don't want to scare them right away. You don't want to turn them off right away. And on top of that, 3 months into a relationship, this girl could be hiding stuff from you too. So it's like, we had that conversation before as well. So,
yeah, I mean, it was like what I was saying before. It's like,
always best to be honest up front, right? 100%. But there's just some things that are private, right? It's honest up front. Things that need to be talked about up front are other issues, other relationship things or life things that really matter.
Yeah.
Right? Those things need to be brought up front in any relationship, I believe.
Completely.
You know, to see if things are going to work out or not. But what you do behind closed doors and, you know, that is performance enhancing and not performance debilitating, you know, try to keep it, because of the stigma that it has around it, realistically.
That's really what it comes down to, you know, it's always
don't want to scare her away.
And, you know, again, it's demonized. It's demonized when males do anything, but then it's like nobody demonizes for birth control. I think birth control destroys women. I think it destroys their bodies. I think it destroys their mental state, and I'm not saying birth control is for everybody, but I'm not saying it's not for everybody in the sense. I think it's utilized in a certain sense, just like testosterone is. You know, males run on testosterone. If we have none, it's a different story. Now, depending on your attitude, if you are a piece of shit, I think you should reevaluate what you're doing. You know, remember, nobody deserves to be talked down to. Nobody deserves your attitude, things to that degree. So, you know, keep your shit in check. You know, don't make it a bad look for everybody else.
Yes.
And know the pros and cons to it. You know, are you just doing T or T doses? Are you doing above? Okay, cool. Now, where's your cholesterol at? Where's your heart health at? These all play a huge role.
Yeah. And you want to show your partner that you're taking care of yourself too. You don't want to just be some steroid user, you know, that she just thinks that you just take steroids. No, explain to her that, like I did with my client. I was like, explain to her that you're getting your monthly blood work done. You're getting your hormones checked. You're not showing agitation. You know, you're not yelling. You're not screaming. You're not like punching holes in the wall. Like,
you say that's not normal? That's bullshit. There's so many holes in my walls right now. God,
I bet there is.
God,
I bet there is.
Call me Kyle. This should be a Monster Energy drink.
If you ever punch holes in your wall,
you better go talk to somebody.
Yeah, don't fucking be that guy. That's weird.
Yeah,
like, I know people that have done that before. Like, dude, if you're that angry, like, I don't know, you need to talk to somebody.
You need to talk to somebody.
And like I said before on this podcast earlier, Tom has a great podcast for men's mental health, which is called Still Here. I'll obviously leave it in the description box again, but like, if you ever have any questions on like issues or mental health and you're struggling, reach out to him, reach out to me. Like, we'll be happy to help you. We're not educated professionals, but like, we also know real life shit.
We've been through some shit.
We've been through shit, and we have no problem helping others fight through that shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Know? So, and then also, another topic that we spoke about earlier was, when is it time to use PEDs, or what do you have to have in play for you to be using PEDs? It's not just I do an 8-week cycle and then come off. It's more of like, you kind of want to have that mindset of, if I'm going to take this, I'm going to take this for extended period of time in the right manner for a specific purpose, right? And doing PEDs at a young age, if you want to go back to the story of one of your clients that went behind your back,
yeah,
21 years old and permanently could mess himself up permanently.
Yeah, so when do I think that touching PEDs is the best? I mean, listen, you're 18, it's your body, do what you want with it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and judge anybody, but I always say if you're going to do this properly and the correct way, first of all,
brain's got to be developed.
Yeah, you're like 25 is usually when the male's brain is developed. I think it's 22 for a female, or 21. So I do think that you should make sure that you want to do this. Opening that box is literally open Pandora's box. It's not one that you can just close very easily. I know people that have done one cycle came off cold turkey, and they fucked up their hormones, and they're in their 30s now, and you could see their skin, their hair, everything's fucked because they just didn't get their shit checked again. They never post-cycled correctly. They picked up a bottle from a guy at the gym, and that's just not the way to do it, you know. No. Because remember, let me be very straightforward. When people are selling things at the gym, there's no difference from buying weed on the corner or buying juice inside the gym. They're both the same thing because they don't really give a fuck what your health's going to look like. They're selling you one thing, they're making their money, and then they're disappearing. So make sure that when you get into this, you know there's all the pros and cons behind it.
Yeah. Be educated.
Because this is not something you want to open up, and because it's not going to be easy to close. I've gotten a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm just going to do one cycle." It doesn't work like. I'm sorry. Like I've seen it multiple times. I got guys that say they're going to do that, even females, and then it's just like they become addicted to this. They become addicted to the gains, and then it's like one, they either never come off. Or two, they just cold turkey and then they're fucked.
Yeah, and then they go through major depression,
yes.
Right? They get bit by the bodybuilding bug way too quick.
Yeah.
And it just downward spirals.
It's so true.
This is a progressive sport. This is not... Of course, there's a time limit on this sport, right? Especially with bodybuilding. There's a time limit, right? Like, you can't be running mega doses and blasts year round for 10, 20 years. You can if you're taking your health into account all the time and doing things safely, but there's also, if you're gonna, there's like a push and pull like type of return, you know? You're always, you're getting, nothing's free.
I was just thinking nothing's free.
So you're giving, you're taxing yourself, you may feel good, and I'm aware of the side effects and the consequences. So my outlook is a little bit more strategic.
You said it best, and I always say that in life nothing's free. No. You know, you want to lose weight, you want to take an extra fat burner, cool. Then guess what? Now you're going to be jittery. Now your anxiety is going to be through the roof because you're on those high stims. You want to get big. You want to get bigger than the fast of the rest. Then like, okay, the average male lives until they're 80. The average female, I think, is like 85, 90.
Yeah. You can get big, fast, big, jacked, quick. But your life expectancy will just be fast as well.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you live fast, you know, you live fast, you die fast. And that's kind of the way it looks. You know, nobody wants to have these honest conversations. But, I have two things that I always say. One, do your first show natural.
Yes.
You know, get your feet wet. See if you even like this shit. See if this is even for you. Because, like, you just being a gym bro, being on gear, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but it's really not, it's not like...
Yeah.
It's not gonna do anything for you because you got a pat in the back to take years off your life. Is that really worth it? Maybe it is.
I'll be honest. That's how I started. I mean, I remember when I got into bodybuilding, I was a gym bro who was just taking stuff, and then some guy was like, "Dude, you should compete. Like, you got a great physique." And then I fully transitioned into that lifestyle. Yeah. If you're just doing it for gym bro status, like, you're better off just touching like less.
Yeah, I mean, there's good natural supplements out there. I mean, I have some natural clients that put on a good amount of fucking size.
I know, I see them.
Bro, Bill looks insane right now. I mean, I think he's in his 50s, and I mean, he's just shredded, and he's natural. I mean, he does OCB shows, but again, if you're gonna know, how do I explain this? You'll know if you're a genetic freak by the age of 19. You know, it's like being the best basketball player. But you're only 5'9". Let's be real. Do you think you're going to you think you're going to be a professional?
No.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? So it's like, sometimes why dip your feet into something where you know, like, you're really not going to go far with this because again, like I had said in the last one, this is hard to make money from.
Yeah.
You know, if you think this is a career for you 10 years ago, sure. Even 5 years ago. Now this industry is so flooded with, you know, influencers, fitness influencers, coaches, athletes. It's just like there's now one everywhere you turn. Yeah. 10 years ago, it was one every two towns.
Yeah.
Realistically, now everybody's trying to do it. So my number one rule is do your first show natural, whether it's NPC, OCB.
See if you like it. See if you love the process.
The process is really what it's going to come down to. See if you're mentally strong for this. And then the second one is get a coach.
Yep.
Don't buy shit from a kid at the gym because he don't give a fuck about you.
Yep.
Don't buy shit, like, because the thing is, like, you don't know, okay, do you get an anti-estrogen? Probably not, because they didn't tell you. They probably sold you 2 bottles, made their money, and then they fucked off.
Yep.
Anti-estrogen, number one, you know, you got to look at that. You got to look at either PCTing afterwards. Are you going to PCT?
And you could go back to our previous podcast about what to look for in a good coach. We cover all these topics.
It's a great point. So. Yep, great point. So again, like, you got to realize this is not just a door that you're going to open you can close right away. It is a process. It's a process to literally find stuff because it is illegal. It is illegal. Most people don't ever want to talk about the white elephant in the room.
Yep.
We're not promoting steroid use again, but at the same time, we want to always be very honest. If you're buying some shit from the guy at the gym, make sure that you know. Make sure you know everything. Make sure you know the pros and cons to putting something in your body. And then don't do an oral only cycle. If you're not going to pin, don't fucking do oral only because it's only going to fuck your shit up.
And don't do a DECA only cycle either.
No, God.
I heard of maniacs.
I've heard so many bad stories. I've seen so many bad stories. But get a professional. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of decent coaches out there now. I've seen a lot of them come out of the woodwork. Try to have somebody that has a portfolio behind them in some sense. You know, it doesn't have to be like 30 clients, but at least if they have like 5 to 10 clients, you know, they put on some steroids. It's only going to be beneficial for you because you're going to learn and ask questions. Don't be an asshole. It's your body.
Correct.
You know, ask questions, good, bad, the ugly, and if you feel like they're holding something back from you and the ugly part, I don't know if that's the person for you. You know, but again, if you're going to start early. Remember, there's going to be consequences sometimes. You know, you're going to get acne, you're going to get limp dick.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to get depression. Depression's another good one.
Depression's the big one. That's really, because think about it. If you start getting acne, you start getting limp dick, you're going to be more depressed.
Absolutely. And it's also with females. Let me go into the female aspect too. You know, I get women that jump on the Anavar, and that's great. But then they don't PCT either. Yeah. You know, people will, well, what can they do? Honestly, just over the counter, just like testosterone boosting supplements.
Yeah.
You know, Core makes a good hormone balancing supplement called Poise, which is really good. It's got a bunch of good things in there that'll help just balance out hormones for females, even just females that are natural. I think jumping on some kind of supplement like that would be beneficial. It's got DIM in there. It's got some ashwagandha. So again, if you're going to open that door, know the full story, just not half.
Yep.
And then have the fucking money.
Yeah.
You know how many times like somebody doesn't have fucking money? It's like, well, I can't get an AI. Well, gynosurgery is going to be $8,000 right there. So if you don't have an AI to block any kind of estrogen conversion, guess what? You're done.
Especially if you're estrogen sensitive. Right?
You know, and don't use the same needles over again.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah, just stop.
Don't be dirty.
Don't be dirty. Don't
just
be
fucking,
cheap.
It's
worth the extra $20 that you're going to spend every 2 months.
Absolutely. So.
But to end the podcast, going back to the story before, to end it on a good note, this guy, my client, actually was able to work things out with his partner, fortunately. And I said, listen, that's great. I'm so happy for you. But just be prepared for the future conversations because I can promise you they're not going to stop. So
knowledge is power.
Yep, knowledge is power. And the more that you could teach this partner or teach your partners about this stuff and proper information, showing her the right people to listen to and stuff like that, I think you guys could have an easier time moving forward in any relationship, talking about steroid use with your partner.
Agreed.
Yeah, so let's end to it.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thank you guys for watching. This was our second exit for the day. So thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate all your feedback. Leave a comment, like, don't forget to subscribe. We do appreciate all you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a wonderful day.
Deuces.
Peace.